Hey guys, Miss Ryan here. We're going to go ahead and look at Unit 1, Note 6 today. We're going to write equations in slope-intercept form. Okay, so this is a form that you have seen before. This is one that looks like y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we're going to look more at what these are and what they mean in a second here. But here's some things that you have to ask yourself. First of all, it's going to be super important that you ask yourself right away, what information am I given? Okay, am I given the slope? Am I given the intercept? Am I given a point? Okay, once you know what information you're given, you are going to use slope-intercept form, plug in what you know, and sometimes you'll have to solve for what you don't know. But here's what you have to keep in mind. Your m value, okay, this value right here, this is your slope. Okay, m is your slope. B then is your y-intercept. Okay, y-intercept. Now I think of my slope as how I move. Okay, my slope is how I move, and my y-intercept is where I begin from. It's where you cross the y-axis. So the only other thing that you need to keep in mind, if I am in this y equals mx plus b, we know that m is the slope and b is the intercept. The x and the y, those are just a point, okay? So if you remember a while ago, when you had to graph points, I gave you an x and a y. So in this situation, these are just a point, okay? And that's the same as that x and that y there. So once you determine what information you're given, you plug it in, then you may need to solve. It always needs to end up in y equals mx plus b format. Now, you will always have the y in there, and you will always have the x in there. Your m and your b will be some numbers. Okay, it will be some number. That's what we're trying to figure out. Okay, but otherwise your y and your x are going to stay y and x. So let's look at this first example. I want to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So I automatically know slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. If I look at the information I'm given the slope, that m is -2, and then given the intercept, that b is 2. So let's plug in what we know. I don't know a y, so I'm going to leave it y equals my m. My slope tells me it's -2. I don't know an x, so I'm going to leave that x. And I have plus, my b is my y-intercept, so that's going to be 2. All right, let's look at number 2 here. I'm going to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So again, I'm in y equals mx plus b when I do this. I'm going to plug in what I know. I know that slope is going to be 4/3, so my m is going to be 4/3, and my b is going to be -4. So I don't know a y. My m, like I said, is my slope. It's going to be 4/3 x. And then I'm going to add my b, which is technically -4. So the difference when I see this plus a negative, I like to write that as a minus. So this is not wrong, but the way that I would write it would look like this. Y equals 4/3 x minus 4. Either one is right. This is one that's a little bit more correct, and that's probably what you'll see when I'm doing the writing. So now let's look at number 3. Number 3 does not tell me an m or a slope, and it does not tell me a b or a y-intercept. So I have to find that. From a graph, you can find both of those things. So you'll see that this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. The first thing I can find is I can figure out what point, here's my origin, so this is 0, 0. I can figure out what number I begin from, and I always begin on my y-axis. So right here is going to be where I begin from, or where I cross that y-axis. And if I went down 2, I know that my y-intercept is going to be that -2. Okay, that's my b value, it's that -2. So now I have to figure out how much I moved. When you are looking for your slope, okay, your slope is like saying your rise over your run. So how much did I go up and down, and then how much did I go right or left? So from your b, you always start from your b, I would go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over 1, 2, 3 to get to the next point. So I went positive direction, so up 6 is positive, and then to the right, which is another positive, 3. So if I were to simplify 6 divided by 3, I would get 2. So now I still haven't answered my question. I need to write it in slope-intercept form. So I have y equals, because I don't know y, my m is my slope, so that's a 2x. And then my b is my intercept, so that's going to be a -2. So remember, instead of writing a plus -2, which is not wrong, I would just write -2. So now looking at this, I am in slope-intercept form with figuring it out from a graph. Let's look at another example there. Here's another graph I have. So I need to figure out where am I crossing the y-axis. So there's the y-axis because that's going to be my y-intercept, remember. Y-intercept, where am I crossing the y-axis? So I'm going to go down here and it looks like right here. Now there's no dot there, but that's okay. That's still where I cross the y-axis. That is going to look like it's going to be at a +1. Okay, so my y-intercept is +1. Now I need to find my slope. So remember, my slope is my rise over my run. So I can start from this b value. I don't have to start from one of the points. So I'm going to go ahead and notice that I'm going to go rise over run. So I'm going to have to go down 1, 2. So I'm going down 2. So down is -2 over 1, 2, 3. And that was to the right 3, so that's a +3. So in this situation, my slope is going to be -2 over 3 because that doesn't divide nicely. So now I want to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals my slope is -2 over 3x plus my intercept. So now we're going to change it up a little bit more, and this is where it gets extremely important for you to look at what information are you given, okay? So I'm trying to plug this into y equals mx plus b form, my slope-intercept form. I'm given a slope, and I'm given a point this time. So remember, this is my x, and this is my y. That's what happens when I get a point. I give you an x and a y. So let's plug in what we know, my y. My y in this situation is 9, right? Equals m. My m is my slope, so it's going to be -6 times my x. My x in this situation is -2. And now it's plus b. I don't have my y-intercept. I need to figure that out. Okay, so some people are going to say, well, I'm done, right? I'm in slope-intercept form, but we're wrong. Remember, in slope-intercept form, we need to have a y equal to some number times x plus some number. So we can't have this x and this y in here. We need to solve to figure out b and then plug those numbers in. So to do that first, I'm going to do -6 times -2. It's going to give me 12 and then plus b. Now to get b alone, we just subtract 12 from both sides. So I know that b is going to equal -3. I am still not in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to go do that now. I have y equal to my slope, my m. We already knew all the way back in the beginning, it's that -6 times x plus your b. Well, my b is -3, so I'm just going to write -3. Now I'm in slope-intercept form. Let's look at number 6 here. Again, looking at the information I was given, I'm given a slope and I'm given an x and a y. So let's plug in what we know to y equals mx plus b. So I know my y value is -3. My m is 2. My x is going to be -2. And I don't know my y-intercept, so I'm going to have plus b. So we need to solve for that b because we're trying to get y equals some number times x plus some number. That's what our final answer should look like. So let's simplify and figure it out. I have 2 times -2 is going to give me -4. So to get a -4 to the other side, we're going to add 4. So I'm going to get 1 equals b. I'm still not in that form. So I'm going to rewrite y equals m. My m I already knew all the way up here. It was 2 times x plus your b, which we just found out was 1. Here's the last one for notes today. So I'm given my slope and my point, so I know my m and my x and my y. We're going to plug in what we know and solve for what we don't. So y is -3 equal to 2/5 times x plus b, which I don't know. So we see fractions and we freak out. No need to freak out. When you see a fraction, you're going to take your top number. So I'm going to take 2. I'm going to times it over here, and then I'm going to divide by the bottom. So 2 times 10 is 20, divided by 5 is going to give me 4. Okay, so I'm just carrying everything down. So again, you did top times the side divided by the bottom. So we're going to finish solving for b. I'm going to subtract 4. -3 minus 4 is going to give me -7. So my b is -7. But the directions say to write it in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to have to write it out. Y equals my m value from before is 2/5 x plus my b, so I could do plus -7, but I'm going to write that as -7. That's it for your notes today. If you have any questions, come up and chat with me or send me a Schoology message. Good luck on the assignment.